So it's the last day at Proveit, and I just wanted to share my thoughts while it's fresh and while I'm walking on this cold Dallas morning over to the conference. So first of all, it was awesome. It was such a great conference, and I can't thank Walker enough and his whole team and the Weston people there who did such a great job. This is their first conference, they're pros, it was so good. So awesome job there. I feel really grateful to have been invited. My background's manufacturing. I love Kaizen and being on the shop floor and fixing problems. And I think what made this conference so special for me, I've seen vendors integrate together. We did that at Operations Calling, and that's always great to see the different technologies and them working together and integrating with something. But what was really special to me was, I guess, three things. The first was that the customer, the challenge. This was the first conference that was kind of like a joint Kaizen event, where the challenge was to go to a real customer and solve a real problem using the tools that you own, the tools that you're familiar with. And it was really the tools that you built. And it was really great to have that challenge and to solve a real problem. And I just haven't seen it before, and it just brings me back to doing the stuff I love, and that was great. I just haven't seen it before, and it was awesome. The other thing I want to say is that thank you to Walker and the community there for giving me and Tulip a voice to be able to share this work that we do, that we're so passionate about. I'm such a believer in reindustrialization and improving manufacturing, helping frontline operations, and to have a voice for that and be able to present that on a stage. I just have never had an opportunity to do that before. It was the largest conference I've ever spoken at, and to be able to speak about something I'm so passionate about was truly an honor. So thank you for that. What was special was the people. I've been to conferences before. I've been to like assembly show or whatever, and of the people who walk by, I would say that a large percentage of them, you might describe them as disinterested, and that's the last word I would use to describe the people at Proveit. I mean, these folks, I hope I don't get hit by a car. These folks were very interested. They were engaged. It's obvious they love what they do. They're citizens of the manufacturing world. And just to give you a couple shout outs to some people who really made an impression on me. I mean, there's so many people, but it was kind of like speed dating or something, where I would have one person come by the booth and they were like, we're suddenly talking about how to track parts on a battleship, and we talked for like 40 minutes about how to do that, and then the next second I'm talking about how to make chocolate milk and what is it like to manufacture chocolate milk and what kind of problems do we have there, and then right after that it's like, okay, how do we make instant potatoes, and everyone was so engaged and interested, and they knew their problems, and it was such a fun time that I felt like I got to speed date over like a manufacturing therapist, and I just love that stuff. So it was so fun. So big shout out to a few people here. Ryan Crawford, awesome to meet you. Thank you for the conversation. That was great. Kyle Green, I mean, we were talking for like 40 minutes with him and his team about their problem, and then I went and watched Highbite's presentation and came back, and we were still talking about it. So that was awesome. And then Dean Richards, I mean, his team was so passionate, especially after our Tulip spoke. So many people came out and shared that they share the same passion as me. So I really felt like I was with my people, and I was with the people who want to make a big change in manufacturing, and that was really special. And then another person I'll mention is Chi Lee. We had a great conversation, so thank you for that. The last thing that I wanted just to say that I was thinking about was, a lot of people came up to me after the presentation and were asking, how did you find the data, the problem with the manufacturing plant? How did you find the schedule exceptions? How did you do that? And I had a great conversation with Juan Senquez about that at the happy hour after party thing, and I wanted to share that with everybody here. if you're still listening, thanks for listening still. But I wanted to share the conversation we had because I thought it was interesting, and I was reminded of this anecdote or this experience I had where I went to this factory, and I was a little late, and I joined this team who was already talking to a maintenance technician, and they were trying to do digitization. So I walked over to this person and introduced myself and went to shake his hand, and his hand was greasy, so he was like, I can't shake it. I'm like, oh, no problem. I gave him like a elbow bump or something. And you know, and they were talking about digitizing this piece of paper, this like packet of paper that was on the desk with him. And they were talking about how it could, you know, this sort of stuff. And then they, you know, I asked him, hey, do you use that? Like, what do you use it for? How does it help you? And what he said was, he said, oh yeah, I use it. Yeah, it's, you know, it's helpful. It has information on it. And then I looked at him, and I was like, wait a minute. You couldn't shake my hand when I came over here because it's so greasy, but the paper is pristine, and the staple in the corner isn't even creased. So obviously you don't use this thing. And he was like, yeah, you know, you're right. And it's not that he was trying to be bad, you know, he just, you know, it actually was a moment for us to connect in a real way. And then we talked about like, well, what kind of information do you need, you know? And I guess I'm using that example, the allegory of the staple, because you know, I think it's how I don't know the answer. I don't know. I didn't have any answers to what was going wrong. All I had was questions. And I think that's sort of the main message that I have here, because people were asking almost every presentation. They said, well, why would I use this? Why would I use Hibite instead of Litmus? Or why would I use WinCC instead of in Ignition, you know? And I think the real message there is, if you're going to frontline operations with a hammer looking for a nail, then that's the wrong approach. You know, you should go there with curiosity and empathy and trying to understand what's really going on. And then when you do that, you start reaching into your toolbox and saying, well, what kind of tools could I use to do this? You know, what can I use to actually improve this? You know, if I'm trying to move data from one place to another, yeah, I'm gonna use Hibite, you know? But like, or if I'm gonna go if I'm going to try and augment the human, the workflows, and give citizen developers tools to build, I'm gonna use Tulip, you know? So, you know, if I want to connect to all these devices and make it really accessible, I'm gonna use Opto, you know? So it's great that we saw such a large array of technologies and solutions, and I just want to put the emphasis on, you know, always being curious and empathetic with the problem, and serving manufacturing, serving frontline operations, because that's where it's at. So it was a really inspiring conference, and I can't thank Walker and the team enough for inviting us. It was really a wonderful experience. So thanks